Hundreds of parents currently in ICE custody with their children are about to face really an impossible choice. Let their children be released without them or remain detained together indefinitely. A federal judge last month ordered the release of all children being held with their parents for more than 20 days because of the rapid spread of coronavirus inside ICE detention facilities. That is thanks to protections afforded to those children under what's known as the Flores Settlement Agreement. But those protections would not extend to their parents. So to explain why, we're going to bring in CBS News immigration reporter Camilo Montoya-Galvez to talk a little bit more about this. So, Camilo, even the president says that adults are more susceptible to the coronavirus than children. But under this Flores law, the children would be able to be released, but not their parents. Explain why ICE needs to comply with the Flores settlement.
Yes, it's good to be with you, Anne-Marie. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has until Monday to comply with their court order from a judge in California that requires the agency to release all children who have been held in family detention centers for more than 20 days. These are minors in U.S. custody who are being detained with their parents or legal guardians at 3 family detention facilities that we have here in the U.S. But parents, as you mentioned, at these detention facilities could soon face what you referred to as an impossible choice, right? Allowing their minors, their children, to be released to sponsors without them, or continue to remain detained for an indefinite period of time. Parents and children at these detention facilities have been held for nearly a year in some cases. Some have spent months in civil immigration detention. And the reason that parents could soon face this choice is because, as you mentioned, the landmark Flores Settlement Agreement allows children to be expeditiously released from U.S. custody, but it does not afford any rights to their adult parents. And now advocates say that these parents will face what a judge called a heart-rending choice in the coming days.
Camilo, what else did this mother tell you about the impact that detention has had on her son?
Sure. So we spoke to Claudia, a migrant mother from El Salvador, who has been detained with her 8-year-old boy for nearly 11 months after she crossed the border last summer. She has been held there while her asylum case has been adjudicated. And the reason that ICE has not released her and other moms at these detention facilities is because, for one reason, the parents generally do not want to be separated from their children, so they do not want their children to be released without them. But even if they were open to that option, ICE says that both the children and the parents are a flight risk, meaning that the agency believes that if they are released, these families might not show up to their court hearings because, again, and this is important to emphasize, the reason these children and families are at these detention facilities is because they're undergoing an immigration proceeding in which the government seeks to deport them. They're not being held there because of any criminal charges or convictions. So that is the choice that Claudia is facing now, but she does not believe it is a fair one. She told me that ICE should not ask moms and dads to make a choice between being separated from their children or continuing to stay detained during a global pandemic. I want to read a quote from our conversation with her. She's told me, "When we all decided to leave our homes with our children, it was because we did not want to leave them. We did not want to be separated from them. It is not a decision that we can take because they are children, they are little, and they can't fend for themselves." So that is something that many parents, like Claudia, are now going through.
Camilo, my question to you is, this administration doesn't have the best track record when it comes to separating children from their parents. We've heard stories, you've covered stories where children are separated and then the parents are deported and then, no one knows where to find the children. ICE has the option of just releasing the parents with the children. Why not just do that? And also, where are the children going?
Right. That is an option that Claudia, the migrant mother whom we spoke to, said. She said ICE has the broad authority to release her with her child and to do the same for the other mothers at the detention facility in Texas, where she has been held for nearly a year. And the agency can do this, and it has admitted that it can, but in court papers, the Justice Department lawyers representing ICE in federal litigation have said that they don't intend to release all these families because they note that parents do not enjoy any protections under the Florist settlement agreement. And they also say that even if they did, or even if they can release them, they believe the parents might not show up to their court hearings if they are released. And this is also, I think, a matter of a message of deterrence, because the administration has repeatedly said that if it releases families from detention, it sends a message that crossing the border without documents is okay, and that you're going to be released if you cross the border in the future. So that there's a lot of factors at play here, but yes, you're correct. The agency has broad authority to release these families together.
And then where do the children go?
Camilo,
That's another great question, because although Claudia does not want to let go of her 8-year-old son, she said that even if she were to consider that option, she would want the necessary information to make this difficult choice. She would want to know where her child would go. It would be usually to a sponsor, like a family member in the U.S. What would happen to her, right? Would she remain in detention and potentially be deported? And something that really stuck out to me is that she said that she does not know that if she takes that option, whether she will be able to see her son again, right? And that's a possibility if she's deported back to Central America and her son remains here with other family members in the U.S.
So ICE has declined to comment on details regarding all of this because there's some pending litigation, Camilo. Who's involved in these negotiations, and where do things stand at the moment?
That's a really interesting question, because what is going on right now is that ICE is working with the lead lawyers in the Florist case to create a process in which parents can waive their kids' rights to be released under the Florist agreement, or they can just allow their kids to be released without them. This has divided the immigrant community, the pro-immigrant community, because some advocates do not want the lead lawyers in the Florist case to be working with ICE to create this process, which they say is inherently coercive and could lead to family separations. But one of the lead lawyers in the case told me that obviously he would like ICE to release all families together, but because they have shown a reluctance to do so, he would at least like families who want to take this option, who want their kids to be released rather than continuing to be detained together, to have that option and to do it through a process that advocates have a say in.
Well, Camilo, it's really interesting stuff. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you for having me.